Okay, we are recording. Derek, if you could please let everybody from the waiting room in as I do the welcome. Good morning, everybody. My name is Kirk Eller. I am a training coordinator here at the California Department of Veteran Affairs California Transition Assistance Program, or CalTAP. We want to welcome you and thank you for joining us this morning. On behalf of everyone in the CalTAP team and CalVet, thank you for joining us, and we want to thank you for your service. We have a very, very great topic for you this morning in presentation for compensation and pension. Next slide, Ashley. I'd like to go over some housekeeping rules if I could quickly. We would like to ask, we have a lot of people joining us this morning, if you could please keep your video and your microphones turned off to prevent distraction from our presenters, as well as keep our bandwidth up so that there's no distractions or no interruptions in our presentation. Thank you, we appreciate that. We will be going over at the end, we'll have a question and answer period. And if you could please direct your questions in the chat to the CalTAP questions, and we will be addressing those in the chat and directing the questions to the subject matter expert. We will be either replying directly in the chat, or we will have a Q&A panel at the end and we'll discuss it openly at the end. Today we have some great speakers for you. My colleague Ashley Daga is going to be providing the CalTAP overview on what the CalTAP program is, as well as what your California specific benefits are. And following Ashley, we have Annette Wolliver, who is our link coordinator from the Central Valley, and she's going to give you an overview of what the link coordinator's roles and responsibilities are, as well as what she does out in the field to assist veterans and their families. And then we have George Dixon from the LA County Veterans Affairs Office, County of Veterans Office, and he's going to provide some information on our subject matter topic on compensation and pension, how to apply for compensation, as well as the whole process through the VA and contacting your county veterans office. So without that, and then like I said, we will follow up with a virtual question and answer at the end. So without further ado, I'd like to go over our chat function if you're not familiar with it already. At the bottom of your screen, you're gonna have a toolbar that says chat. If you click on that function, you will see all the chat functions in there. And if you could direct your question to CalTAP questions, somebody will reply back to you and we will address your question at the very end during the Q&A. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Ashley, and she's gonna provide you the CalTAP overview. Thank you for joining us. Ashley?
Thank you, Kirk. Good morning, everyone. As Kirk said, my name is Ashley Daga. I'm also one of the training coordinators here on the CalTAP team with CalVet. I'm very excited to be here today to provide you with some great benefits that you have all earned because of your military career. With that being said, I'll go ahead and get started. So what is CalTAP? So what CalTAP is designed to inform and connect all veterans of all eras to their federal and state benefits. And we do that in a few different ways. One of them is through our 5 pathways that you see below. And that's core curriculum, education, employment, entrepreneurship. And then we also have one for our service providers. You should have received an email with a link to a PDF version to our Veterans Resource Book. And let me just tell you that this information that is in here, it is like gold. So if you have time or a moment to just kind of look through the PDF version that you have received, please do. If you happen to have a book as well, even if it's one of our older versions, just look through it. There's tons of great benefits for you to look through and to see what you are eligible for. All right, and so to find CalTAP, what you would basically do is go to Google, just type in CalVet or type in calvet.ca.gov. Once you're on our homepage here, you can see our homepage there that is circled CalTAP. You would click on that. And then it will take you to our pathways page. And as you can see here, this is where all of our pathways are. And you can click on any of them to kind of view the information it is that you're looking for. One thing that I do like to also say is that at the bottom, we do have an archives page. So if you happen to miss this or want to go back to it, you will find this recording in the next 24 to 48 hours, along with any of our other recordings that we have done in the past as well. And you can see these are just a list of all of our recordings that we have done in the past for you. And then there's also the PDF version that you'll find as well. All right, well, how can I use CalTAP online? So again, once you get to this pathways page, you'll go ahead and click on one of the pathways, but here we'll click on core curriculum. And then next, it'll take you to all of our different modules. So for this one, it's module 5, we'll click on. And once you get into module 5, what it'll do is it'll show, there'll be some PDF versions of the, of something like this that you can click on. And what this basically is just a kind of a breakdown of your benefits here, from college tuition fee waiver to motor vehicle registration. So you want to click on those as well, in addition to watching the videos you'll see. All right, and so what are my California benefits? And again, we always like to refer back to our resource book on page 13. Also, you'll find a list of our 8 different links that we have throughout the state of California. And again, we'll have one of them speak to you today. But that's what this is here. And then in addition, this is just another snapshot of what is in our modules. All right, and so to kind of get started here, so our college tuition fee waiver, this is near and dear to my heart, and because I do have a college student who's currently utilizing this. So what this basically does, it waives tuition and fees at any state-funded school, so any UC, CSU, or community college, and this can be done all the way up through your dependent's doctorate. There are eligibility requirements for this, so I do recommend that you either go on our website, look in the resource book, or even contact your local CVSO or one of us, and we can kind of direct you into the where to look up the information. So this benefit is great because it saves California veterans it can save over $35 million a year. And again, I utilize this program for my son, and let me just tell you, it has saved us a lot of money as well. All right, and then we do have some DMV programs as well. So the Veterans Driver's License. So the one great thing about this is that you don't have to carry around your DD Form 214. You can simply just get the word veteran listed on your license there. And you simply have to bring a form. I believe you may have to go see CVSO for this, but that's one great thing. And then instead of carrying around the DD 214 as well, to get your discount, you can just show your driver's license. So a lot of good things about that. And then we also have the Honoring Veterans License Plate. There are many insignias that you can look up on our website. And then as far as the motor vehicle registration fee waiver, there are eligibility requirements for that as well. And you can look on our website for that information. All right, and then for those who love the outdoors, there are options to be able to get your hunting and license fees reduced, your annual fees reduced, and then in addition to that, you can get state park passes at no cost to all the basic state park operations, including camping and day use. There is a website that you can go to look up this information, and I believe maybe that will be in the chat as well. All right, and then we do have tax programs. So the disabled veteran property tax exemption, depending on your disability rating, you can get your property tax exempt. There are certain stipulations and everything like that, but you can look into that. And then the business license tax and fee exemption, depending again on your rating, you can also get those fees exempt. And then we do have a disabled veteran business enterprise program. So if you're looking at, possibly selling to the state, you can go on our website and there's information in regards to DVBE itself, or you can contact us and we can provide you with some information as well. All right, and then our great CalVet home loans. So Brad Pedersen, he is one of our personnel who usually provide briefing on this, but at this time, basically what this is, it provides financing to veterans. It is different than the VA home loan that you are probably aware of. And they do have competitive market interest rates and then low or no down payment requirements as well. If you have any questions in regards to this, we can provide you with a contact number to the team that can assist you with this. All right, and so in addition to the CalTAP team, there is also a Calvet Women Veterans Team, and they provide information, advocacy, and outreach and support California women veterans. And then they do partner with the California Women Veterans Leadership Council. And you can actually get onto their right here onto their roster so that you can receive their emails to see what kind of events that they're hosting, webinars, training, all that kind of stuff. So if you actually go onto the Calvet website and then go to the Women Veterans homepage, you can sign up for their roster there. And then you can look up other information as well. And then we also have a minority veterans group as well, and they provide similar information, advocacy, outreach, and support, but of course to the minority veterans. They help naturalized veterans in California with their citizenship and naturalization services. There's a great team over there as well, so that if you need to get on their roster, that is also a possibility as well. You can go into here and view the kind of information they have available. All right, and then so we do have Calvet homes, long-term care throughout the state of California. And there they provide independent living, memory care, assisted living, and skilled nursing. And we have 8 different locations, as you can see here. I do recommend that you contact them and see what their eligibility and requirements are. And so in addition to the 9 national cemeteries in the state of California, we also have 3 state cemeteries. And these are where they're located. So Seaside, Redding, and Yountville. And just like the long-term care, you'd want to contact them and find out what their eligibility requirements are as well. All right, and so to kind of get down here to the common veteran websites, I just want to say how important it is to go onto these websites to find out some great information in regards to your own benefits. So first we want to start off with va.gov, and on here you can view your healthcare, disability, and get your records as well. And this is a great website to go to just kind of get, it's just the basic website to start at. In addition to that is the e-benefits. E-benefits, I utilize all these websites. So e-benefits, you'll go in here and you can get any VA letters, you can get your eligibility for home loan, view your education benefits, and all that. And it's also linked back to the va.gov website. In addition to that, we also have the My Health eVet on here. It's a great website that you can go on to message your doctors, check on refills, refill medication, look at your upcoming appointments, and any health records as well. So again, my name is Ashley Daga. I am, again, one of the CalTAP training coordinators. If you have any questions, please send your questions to the CalTAP questions and they will be able to assist you. If you have any questions, you can send any questions to me via email after the webinar. In addition, if you can also like us on Facebook, we would truly, truly appreciate it. Thank you. And at this time, we have Annette Wolliver, who is our Central Valley link, who will be giving a presentation as well.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Annette Wolliver. I'm the Local Interagency Network Coordinator, or LINC. So basically, I'm a field rep, one of the field reps for the state of California, representing and servicing our veterans. Next slide, please. So you can see that Calvet has divided the state into 8 regions. Each region is a color with a coordinating link. I'm in the Central Valley, and I cover Stanislaus and Kern counties, representing about 144,000 veterans. We work very closely with state, federal, local government agencies so that we can build a resource base. So even though we work independently within our counties and are the subject matter experts, we all work together as a team to help each other out. Next slide, please. So we provide outreach to service members, current and veterans and their families. And we do this by getting involved with the veterans collaboratives and committees. We want to make sure that everyone's aware of the benefits that are they're eligible for, but also we want to build a base for augmented service where maybe federal and state benefits can't address their needs. We can go deeper within our communities and find those different resources. And then that way we can make referrals and work directly with established service provider networks. We assist with local emergencies. Last year, I had the opportunity to assist veterans who were victims of the SQF fire, as well as the Creek fire. And I was deployed to the Tulare Local Assistance Center in Porterville for 3 weeks. And in some cases, these veterans lost everything, their homes, their paperwork. But by working with the County Veterans Service Office, we were able to reclaim their DD Form 214, which is, you're going to find a very important piece of paperwork. So once you get it, save it. So once they got their DD Form 214, I worked with Calvet Home Loan Agent, and we were able to get the certificate of eligibility so they could go forward with either a Calvet home loan or a VA home loan. And then we provide leadership and advocacy to local communities. We stay in touch with our community leaders. We find out what there may be any gaps and let everyone know if there's any changes to benefits. Next slide, please. And so getting connected to your benefits, that's what we're all about. And I'm the poster child for that. I actually served in the United States Army from 1975 to 1978. And it wasn't until 11 years ago when I started working for the state of California, I realized I was a veteran and I had additional benefits. So I didn't realize I could file for compensation. I now have a service-connected disability. I didn't know I could enroll in VA healthcare, and I am. So take advantage of these agencies. Their lobbies are closed right now. They're working remotely, or if they may be in the office, call and make an appointment. If you're looking for employment or training, the Employment Development Department has dedicated staff that work solely with veterans. I was a vet rep for 8 years myself. They can help you get connected to employers, resume writing, interview preparation. They can get you connected to your veterans preference points. Is very important for getting a state and federal job. It gives you an advantage. And then they're co-located in the America's Job Center in California. And as far as California state benefits, that's what we're all about. And California benefits are different from other state benefits. But it's the County Veterans Service Office. These are the boots on the ground who can assist you with getting your claims filed, your DMV paperwork, your college tuition fee paperwork. They're doing a lot of things either through email or by phone, but in some cases they are actually making appointments and people can come into the office. And then healthcare, we must be mindful of healthcare during this time. We don't want to neglect it. The VA medical centers and clinics and vet centers are seeing patients on a critical and urgent care need basis. And so if you want to get enrolled, you can actually go online and enroll, or you can call VA Eligibility at the medical centers and clinics, and they can enroll you over the phone. And then also I use My Healthy Vet, which is a great way to get your medications, get your refills. And then all of my doctor's appointments for the last, I guess, 6 months, I've been through telehealth and the VA Connect. So it's been very convenient for me. Next slide, please. So this is my contact information. If you remember nothing else, please write this down. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to contact me. If you're not going to be in my Central Valley region, I can connect you to your coordinating link. And I want to thank you all for your service.
All right, thank you so much, Annette. And so at this time, we have George Dixon from the LA County Veterans Service Office, who will be doing a presentation as well. George, it's all you.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Hopefully you guys are all hunkered down in your bunkers today. My name is George Dixon, Supervisor of Veterans Claims, LA County, former Director of Veterans Services, Monterey County, former Veterans Rep 3 of LA County, and a long time ago, Disabled American Veterans Service Officer. Take the time to sit back, relax a little bit. You're sitting in your house, and I like to call it the bunker syndrome. So we haven't been out. We're starting to open up a little bit. I'm getting my second COVID shot tomorrow. So I'll be able to travel around a little bit more and get some fresh air and breathe. I do come downtown to LA twice a week. My wife refers to this as COVIDville. And she says, make sure you spray your shoes off with Lysol before you come in the house, because I don't want to get any COVID. But, you know, everybody's really cautious, and I would highly encourage you to get out to the VA and get taken care of. Another set of series of shots that we get on active duty. So it's another shot that we're going to get to protect us. So before I get started on my presentation, by a show of hands, and you can use the little tools, how many military retirees do I have sitting in the audience? And if you, Calvet can give me a count because I can kind of gear it to how many retirees I have. I'm U.S. Army retired also. Next question. Now I'm going to go through the branch of services, and you guys can just pop your hands up as I go. How many Army, Navy, Air Force, and then Calvet, you can tell me who has the majority of veterans sitting here so I can kind of gear it that way. I have a person that's retired Army and Navy, so you can figure out which was the best service. I think the Army was, though. And as you guys are going through that, little bit of history. A long time ago, I was sitting probably in the same shoes some of you are sitting in now. Either I was discharging or I was out. I became a veteran and didn't know anything about my benefits. The first stop that I went to, and I was pretty regimented being in the Army, they told me, go to the County Veteran Service Officer. I had no idea what that was. So my first encounter was Bob Hope Patriotic Hall, downtown Los Angeles, County Veteran Service Officer, where a lot of the vet reps were all Vietnam veteran and Korean War veterans. And I kind of related to them because they were my mentors on active duty who guided me with a purpose and a direction and motivated me to secure my benefits. And they said, George, you got to apply for this. And I always thought going to the VA, I had to have lost my arm or a leg or have a severe disability. And being a young person and trying to figure out how I'm going to survive as a civilian in the transition from military to civilian life, those vet reps mentored me in saying, go enroll in healthcare, go to the local veteran service rep at the employment office, go to the college and talk to the veteran service rep. So every place I went, I was directed to talk to a veteran service representative. So as you're out there on your adventures in the civilian community, make sure you talk to your county veteran service officers, your veteran service organizations, your disabled veterans outreach persons in employment services, your veterans reps at the medical centers, because there's a representative who speaks our language rather than going to the normal person and saying, hey, I'm a veteran. They look at your 214 and it kind of, well, what is that? And we're going to try and get you a job. And with that, I'm going to give you a little bit of overview, and I'm not going to be able to give you the bulk of the information in about 30 minutes, and I'm not going to make you the subject matter expert, but hopefully I give you an insight on benefits in general. Next slide. So the objective of my presentation is to get you to develop an understanding of familiarization of veterans advocacy. Your county veteran service officers, your veteran service organizations in the community all advocate on your behalf. So an advocate is the voice for those who cannot speak for themselves. So we are going to help you navigate the complicated system of VA services. We're going to give you a basic understanding of your overall VA benefits. Keep in mind, I was a former Army drill sergeant, so our attention span is 10% of our age. I'm 58, so if you don't put the bulk of information out to me in 5.8 minutes, you're going to lose me. So try not to memorize everything. You have the CalVet resource book there that is a great guide, and you have your county veteran service officers who are located in that book. Understand how your county veteran service officer assists you in your community. There's one in all 58 counties across the state of California. We all talk to each other. We're all connected under CalVet. And at the end, answer your questions. Next slide. So in the chat, while I'm talking, can anybody tell me what your county veteran service officer does? And I'll give you about a minute to respond, and then CalVet can give me some of the responses, and then I'll go on with what we actually do, or what you think we do. And I know probably somebody out there has had a good encounter and a bad encounter, or an assumption, but I'm going to give you the straight facts. I see somebody putting question marks. They don't know. So your county veteran service officers across the state of California, your CVSO is a veteran. Staff that work in your CVSO office are veterans or relatives of veterans or just regular people that work to support veterans' needs. County veteran service officers report to the board of supervisors in your community. We advise our board of supervisors on veterans issues in your community. We advise councilmen, congressmen, aides, cities, legislators about veterans issues in our communities. We advise veterans, dependents, and survivors about benefits they may be entitled to upon the death of a veteran or survivor or service member. We assist and advise service organizations and are partners with service organizations in the community. And we also work with the Department of Veterans Affairs and California Department of Veterans Affairs on veterans issues in the community and outreach events such as stand downs and other benefits related benefits that you may want to have in your community. Next slide. So the staff are dedicated professionals. They are accredited by the Department of Veterans Affairs. That means that they have a credential to help you navigate claims and benefits process in the Department of Veterans Affairs. They advocate and develop programs in your community to support veterans. The big thing right now in LA County is homelessness and suicide prevention. And we do have really great programs for transitioning service members into the community. The bulk of the veterans population in Los Angeles County is Vietnam veterans, and there's a lot of outreach events that relate to the Vietnam veterans who served. Some of you sitting on this audience may have been volunteered to join the armed forces if you're Vietnam, Korea, World War II in the draft. And the rest of us are considered all volunteer force. We volunteered, we raised our hands, said, I'm going to join the armed forces. We're devoted to the cause of taking care of you, those who have served and are still serving. We're defenders of your rights for benefits earned. Claims work is very opinionated. So sometimes you may encounter a person that's very upfront telling you what the process is, what you may or may not be entitled to. And veterans in general, especially retirees, sometimes I'm hard to deal with because I'm pretty set in my ways and I want things done a certain way. But get to your veteran service rep, your California Department of Veterans Affairs accredited agent that's at the regional office, your VSOs that can tell you the straight facts. And a lot of times in claims work, the veteran may have an idea what he or she wants, but doesn't understand the process, especially with the new changes with Appeals Modernization Act and the way the VA operates processing your application for benefits. Next slide. So who do we serve? Generally, there's 4 populations or groups eligible for veterans benefits, but your county veteran service officers work with a no closed door approach. Anybody that crosses their path, they'll assist. Service members to include National Guards and Army Reserves, veterans defined in the 38 CFR regulation for those of you who like to do a lot of research, family members, veterans, service members and their survivors, and dependents of all categories. I deal with veterans that are overseas, with their family members that are overseas. I deal with veterans that are physically here in LA. Right now, due to COVID, I'm working with veterans that live in Canada who are applying for benefits here, and they're getting their benefits in another country. And I also have veterans that are in Guatemala and Mexico right now too that I work with. So there's a no closed door approach, and COVID has taught us that we can operate anywhere remotely and sign documents anywhere. Your county veteran service officers have that ability to, so you don't have to come in and be exposed if you're worried about COVID, to sign your documents remotely. They're able to do a Teams or meeting such as this remotely with you or phone conference. Next slide. So I put the money signs up there. Veterans Administration benefits get you a monetary benefit, which is non-taxable. Keep this in mind, military retirees. This part and all veterans, it's a non-taxable benefit that you earned. A lot of older veterans consider compensation sometimes as welfare, but it is not welfare. And I would highly encourage you to talk to veterans in your community to apply for their benefits they earned and deserve. I'm going to talk a little bit about some common factors of benefits and what you need to do to secure your benefits, who qualifies for VA benefits in general and VA benefits overall. Next slide. So some common factors in VA benefits eligibility, there's length of service requirements. If you serve during a period of war or peacetime, for VA pension, there's income requirements, and pension is based on poverty level threshold. Service connection, they rate you from where they acknowledge the injury. My first injury was a scar, which they rated at 0%, which can go over up to 100%, over $3,000 a month in some cases. And your little veterans resource book does have it should have the most updated compensation rates. If you want to learn about the compensation rates and the accuracy as of 12/1/2020, you can go to the VA website that they gave you, and it does give you an overview of the comp rates. And there are additional benefits for those that need assistance in the need of aid and attendant. We do work with other than honorable discharge veterans. So if you come across a veteran in your community, I had a veteran that had 3 periods of service. His final discharge period was OTH. The VA granted benefits based on his first 2 periods of service. He didn't know that he could possibly get his OTH or the last period of service changed. We got the discharge period changed to general, the last period. So we had 2 honorables and a general. He was trying to shoot for an honorable, but it wouldn't fly because of what he did. And he was trying to get his 9/11 GI Bill based on the last period of service. But he got the general, and he did secure benefits. He did secure his Chapter 30 benefits and VA compensation rated at 100%. Later on down the road, this individual, just by encountering the county veteran service officer, became a rep for the department and went on to bigger and better things. Next slide. So the Department of Veterans Affairs and your county veteran service officer and CalVet help veterans secure disability compensation and help you attain education benefits such as retraining through vocational rehabilitation. We also help veterans with home loans, application process, assist you in your Chapter 30, 33 benefits, and healthcare enrollment. LA County has vet reps located in all VA healthcare facilities that can help facilitate this. And your county veteran service officers in the majority of the counties have veteran service representatives co-located in VA healthcare facilities. So when you enter the healthcare facility, you should be seeking out either a veteran service organization or your county veteran service rep who can help you navigate your healthcare needs, or at least get you to the business office to get you enrolled. We also help widows and veterans with pension and helping families in time of crisis when we lose a veteran. We assist your family members with dependents indemnity compensation, life insurance, and at the end, burial benefits. If you served, you earned. And I would highly encourage you to look at the book and look at what your entitlements are. I know my wife always says, what happens if something happens to you? And I always tell my wife, I put all the documents are in the file cabinet, dear, like my 214 and items that I need. And we come across a lot of veterans that do this to their significant other spouses or family members, where a veteran has to be placed in the cemetery and we need a copy of the discharge document. And the veteran tells the family member, oh, the document's in the drawer. So the spouse goes to the drawer and there's nothing there. And then they come in and we have to do all the research for them. So if you're a veteran, a retiree, have your stuff in order, because your family member depends on it, because this may help him or her with their benefits later on down the road. Next slide. So VA disability compensation, if you have older version, you can look at it on page 32 in your veterans resource book, and then the version that just came out, it may be on another page, but it gives you a basic overview on disability compensation. Keep in mind that VA disability compensation is tax-free. You do not report that on your taxes. Next slide. In the event that you get a 10% or higher rated for a disease or injury incurred or aggravated by service that causes an employment handicap, you look at some benefits that are disability for tax-free benefits, veterans disabled or enrolled during the service or aggravated. Look back at your service charts and think about, hey, when I went in the military, did the recruiter tell me, don't say anything about my knee and I'll get you in? And then you're thinking, oh, it might have became aggravated. Or the obvious one that most of us have is things like hearing loss or ringing of the ears because of weapons fire. Or for those of you that deployed in the combat zone may have an issue such as service connection for post-traumatic stress disorder or an in-service trauma as on a direct basis. Typical beneficiary for compensation are service members who became injured physically during service or have psychological issues related to service, i.e. Post-traumatic stress disorder, personal trauma, MST, and things of that nature. And it's very important to talk to your veteran service officers so they can give you the insights on these benefits. On my end, I do a lot of record screening for veterans or people discharging. And I know you guys will go through a TAPS class, and it's done pretty quick. You're sitting there for 5 hours or 5 to 6 hours a day, sometimes 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And and then your charts aren't screened, and it makes it a little bit difficult when you're trying to do the discharge claims part of discharge. And that's why it's important to talk to a vet rep who can actually take the time to screen the charts and say, here's all the chronic problems I find in your records. And you have 1 year from the time of discharge to submit any additional issues. So I would highly encourage you to talk to somebody. Next slide. So some eligibility requirements for service connection. First, you look at your charts, you must have an injury that was incurred of service. For direct service connection, 1 day of service, I see people that go to basic training and get trampled in the cattle car. And then all of a sudden they're kicking them out within the 3rd week from boot camp because they popped their knee or their ankle. And you know, some veterans or service members won't come into the office because they might have did only 3 weeks or less than a month of service and they're embarrassed. But think back, for those of you that were drafted and the drill sergeant were cramming people into the cattle cars when you're only supposed to hold about 32 people, and they would put 80 people into those cattle cars at Fort Benning or MCRD or in the Navy Academy or wherever you went to basic at, and somebody got crammed in there and got hurt. So if you run across a veteran or somebody outside that you know, and I only did a month in service, and I don't think I have anything coming, believe it or not, veteran service rep can look at those charts and see if that injury incurred as a direct result of their service. Other than honorable discharge, veterans may be entitled to monetary benefit if the VA deems the injury honorable for VA purposes. So this relates to a lot of veterans that you may come across in your neighborhood, or maybe even a homeless veteran that you see outside, that you can assist to get them in to talk about compensation or pension. By show of hands, how many Vietnam veterans do I have in this audience out here? I'll give you about 2 seconds to kind of respond to it. Not too many. How many Persian Gulf War veterans? I see 1 Vietnam. How many current conflict veterans? And the Persian Gulf War never ended, you guys, so it's still going. So there's probably a bunch of you guys out here. All right, when it talks about presumptive disability, you know, it gives you the general statement. VA presumes that some disabilities are due to military service. So you may be entitled to receive compensation for these injuries if they qualify as a presumed disability. And it gives the example of Agent Orange exposure, radiation exposure, and now we also have environmental hazards such as the burn pit registry. So if you're a Vietnam veteran, ensure that you get over to the VA and get an Agent Orange. Somalia may have some other issues, so we can talk to Oscar later on. The Agent Orange registry is very important, and it's important to stand up and be accounted for, because you may have been exposed to Agent Orange if you were in Vietnam. And if you come up with one of the odd disabilities such as diabetes, Parkinson's, and a list of the cancers that may be associated with Agent Orange, you may qualify for compensation. Gulf War veterans from August of 1990 till present, if you served in Iraq or in the theater there, there's a lot of multiple things that could be wrong with you. And if you have not had the Persian Gulf War Veterans Protocol exam done to you, I would highly encourage you to get to the VA and get that exam taken care of. There are veterans who worked around radiation. I worked around nuclear weapons, that's why I don't have any hair. But I can't link that to service because the canister didn't crack open. So, but if you believe you're exposed to ionizing radiation, there's a presumptive for that also too. And in the regulation, it does specify specific diseases or injuries that have certain presumptive periods, such as a veteran coming up with multiple sclerosis within separation, 7 years from separation, the VA can link that to your service. So it's very important to talk to one of us so we can look at the charts and make a determination on what's direct, presumptive, aggravation, or even some secondary issues that you may have. And the good example I like giving for secondary is if you're rated for a right knee and all of a sudden your left knee goes bad on you, we may be able to link that secondary to your service-connected knee because of a gait issue or the way you lock and unlock your disability, your knee. So keep that in mind, and that's what we're looking at. Individual unemployability is based on the ability not to, for a veteran, ability not to obtain substantial gainful employment. Crossing guard, part-time, that's not substantial gainful, but they're mainly looking at if it's 36 to 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year, the veteran's still functioning, it's going to have that veteran have a be able to live life. And we see a lot of veterans that file for unemployability. They're not able to function. They're not able to obtain or maintain employment. They'll jump from job to job to job. And there's certain criteria for unemployability. So the veteran, if that veteran's rated 40% for one disability and others combined equaling to 70, they may qualify. Or if the veteran has a disability by itself rated at 60, that's stopping him or her from substantial gainful employment, they may qualify. Make sure you get to the CVSOs or AVET rep to talk about these issues if you're sitting in that category right now. Next slide. So, ways to apply, as stated before, you can go into e-benefits, but I want to caution you about e-benefits. If you're applying on e-benefits, your county veteran service officers spend a lot of time correcting e-benefits applications because the average person applying for benefits isn't applying any of the principles, or they'll list 3 or 4 things and may have left out other chronic issues that they may have. When you come into the CVSO office, it's very important, have your DD-214, have any pertinent medical records in your hot little hands, your marriage certificates, birth certificates, divorce decrees, talk to an accredited service representative, and if Calvet can give the OGC site to check accreditations, because there are veterans, people helping veterans charging money. All the services that Calvet provides and your county veteran service officer provides and your veteran service organization provides to you are free of charge. So be careful if you hear, oh, I got my claim done by this person and they want to charge you 20% of what you get in a retro, and they're making you do all the paperwork. So be very careful with that. And I want to really enforce, talk to somebody who's credentialed to do the job. So with the Appeals Modernization Act, lay statements, affidavits, trustees, your medical records, the VA is looking at things a little bit differently now than in the past. And some of the Vietnam veterans, if you're out there, can talk about, especially with the claims related to PTSD, where they would push the issue of, well, yeah, you don't have a combat badge or a combat action ribbon. You were just a radio operator. But wait a minute, I was a radio operator attached to the 101st Airborne climbing up Hamburger Hill. I experienced the same thing the infantry did. So when I started this business in '95, they were turning claims down just because the veteran didn't have a combat action ribbon or combat infantryman's badge or a Bronze Star with a V device or things of that nature. But the way the claims process goes now is a lot easier, I think, for veterans. COVID claims process right now is averaging in LA County. The quickest one I've seen come back is within 3 weeks from the time we submitted with all the evidence. And they are coming back really quick. Oakland may vary and San Diego also. Put a face with your application, because if you're doing everything on your own and you're dropping stuff into the VA and then the VA is not getting back to you, or you call the toll-free number and they say there's no record of it, if you get to one of us, at least you can say, hey, George, you submitted my claim remotely and the VA says there's no record of it. And then I can go back into our system, or your vet rep can, and say, yeah, it was submitted. It's taken a while to process. And we also have a way to direct upload your documents to the VA for you. And keep in mind that when we submit your stuff, it takes the VA a little bit of time to get it into their system. So if you put the claim in today, don't go back to the CVSO office tomorrow and go, hey, what's the status of my claim? Because we know that it's going to take a little bit of time to get into the system. And if you have an e-benefits account, you should be able to see the issues that you're claiming within a couple of weeks from the time your CVSO or your veterans organization and the VA submits your claim. Next slide. So some other benefits you're entitled to. So I have a question, and I'm going to throw this out there. Is there anybody in the audience that is service connected 10% or higher for like a bad knee and wears a knee brace with a metal hinge in it? Or you're 10% or higher for a skin condition and the skin wears out your clothing? And the person that answered yes, I hope you're getting your clothing allowance. So you should be entitled to an annual clothing allowance, and those applications are submitted through your prosthetic department at your local VA. Automobile allowance, those are generally for veterans with the loss of use of a hand or foot, and they get a one-time adaptive auto or an automobile allowance, and they can get their vehicle adapted with hand controls and all these high-speed things. The coolest thing I've seen in my lifetime is a young lady who was paraplegic, and they customized the van for her because she liked to look at TV, and they put a TV in there, but they equipped it with the lifts and the slides for her, and that was based off the automobile allowance. And in your little book, it gives you the new rate for the allowance. It's a pretty cool thing if you happen to fit the category for loss of use of or loss of use. Veterans Mortgage Life Insurance is generally for the catastrophically disabled veteran. I see a lot with severe amputations, and it covers their mortgage. Service disabled veterans insurance. A lot of us don't apply for this, and my wife gets on me about it. It gives you a $10,000 whole life policy with the option of purchasing more under certain age criteria. And the deductibles are pretty good. And from what I've seen when I work with cases on my end, when somebody passes away, if that veteran had that whole life insurance in there, the spouse is very happy because it may be the part of paying off the mortgage or taking care of some bills. And a lot of the veterans, both men and women, take care of their family members and they don't know. So your CBSO can actually check on these issues for your family members when they come to the office to apply for benefits or have a life insurance policy in state. I spend a lot of time also looking at Office of Personnel Management life insurance policies because a lot of our veterans do work for OPM or other government agencies, and they do apply for benefits. Special monthly compensation, if you're 100% right now, and a good example would be a separate and distinct disability rated above 100 at 60, that may entitle you to special monthly compensation S, which is considered like the housebound rate. And if you really want to research SMC, you would research 38 CFR 3.350. That breaks the rates of like a K for loss of use of a hand or foot or a creative organ. And then it goes into each steps, which is a more advanced class. But you may be entitled to these benefits if you believe you meet the criteria for special monthly compensation. So the question I always get from veterans is, I can't go higher than 100%. If you go to the VA website, it talks about the special monthly compensation awards, which is higher than 100%. Pay purposes, it's based on the need of an attendant or housebound for the veterans. Not to be confused with pension claims because the terms are interchangeable. And that's why it's very important to talk to a CBSO to talk about these entitlements where the veteran is so disabled and his or her service-connected disabilities are at 100 and their service-connected disabilities are becoming worse or more problems are occurring with some other secondary issues. So that's when a lot of family members will come into our office and you'll hear the term, hey, I want to apply for, I need to apply for aid and attendance. And then the vet rep's going to talk about special monthly compensation and see if the veterans are entitled to Sierra Award or a higher level of care. And top levels are R1, R2, which is catastrophically veterans. And then you guys probably heard about special monthly compensation for traumatic brain injury, T1, T2, T3. So that's important because I know some of you may have had an incident in service where you were blown up and they rated you for PTSD and they forgot about the traumatic brain injury. So that's why it's important to get to one of us. Next slide. So remember, CBSOs are the voice of those who cannot speak for themselves. So when a lot of us are regulation savvy military, and if you need help pursuing your appeals and your claims work, talk to somebody who works these benefits every day. Talk to somebody who understands the law. Talk to each other because there's wealth in each other, but get to somebody who's credentialed to do the work for you. Shy away from people charging you a lot of money to do claims work. We had an issue down here where somebody was taking the veterans' applications and then taking the mail to their house and then telling the veteran, well, your award came through, pay me. And that is really illegal. We're a vital part of your community. We're an asset to your board. We're a valuable asset to partners, volunteers, and stand downs. And just overall, we're here to help you. Now, military retirees are probably wondering, hey, what happens to my retirement pay when I get my rating of 10%? So if you're a military retiree and you're rated below 50%, you know that you will not receive concurrent receipt. The ultimate goal for military retirees is to get to 50% so you can receive your military retirement pay in full and your VA compensation. But keep in mind, your VA compensation is non-taxable. So then what military retirees try to file for CRSC, combat-related special compensation, which makes your military retirement non-taxable. And your CVSO can help you do that. For those of you that are medically retired from the armed forces, I've seen that chat going back and forth. If you get rated by the VA, you won't receive military retirement. You'll receive your compensation, but you'll be retired. Does that make any sense? You'll still keep your retired ID card, but you just won't be receiving your military retirement because generally the VA compensation pays higher. And it gets pretty tricky as you start working down a lot of the issues. So keep in mind, when you start your applications, get to somebody who can work the issues. I'm not a very big fan of the intent to file because I think that if a vet rep is talking to you and you can bring the evidence in one shot, they should be initiating it. But if you need time to gather evidence, that VA Form 210966 is a good tool for you. Keep in mind, don't forget, once you turn that form in, the 1 year time period starts ticking. And a lot of veterans I run into that do the intent to file on their own forget, and they lose all that retroactive pay. So it's pretty scary. And now with the Appeals Modernization Act, if you've had a previously denied claim, there's different directions that you can go with it because your CVSO is going to tell you, well, you were denied PTSD 5 years ago. The only way you can do this claim is bringing in a supplemental claim with new and relevant evidence. And if you've never applied for an issue, you would put it on your original application. And if you have a claim in motion right now, you have a couple of other options where you can do the supplemental claim on it and get it resolved in 3 months. If you think the VA made a mistake on it, send it to a higher level review. They're processing in 3 months. If you really get mad at the VA and say, hey, I've been doing this for 5 years, you can actually send it direct to the Board of Veterans Appeals, and they're processing those in a year. And they still have the same 3-lane type settings. And keep in mind that if you're processing a letter or a disagreement to the Board of Veterans Appeals, from the time you submit it to the board, it'll take 1 year, and that's the timeline they give us. If you submit additional evidence, they're going to add another 3 months to that and then process that claim. If you request a hearing at the board, add 3 months to that 1 year so they can process that claim. On the board hearings, which is pretty cool, they're doing all the board hearings right now. They're encouraging us to do them virtually, which saves you a lot of time from having to drive. And I've had veterans out of state do their BVA hearings remotely. And the success rate of those BVA hearings remotely is really good. And I would highly encourage you, to get with your advocate and talk about your benefits. If you're going to go to a hearing, CalVet is really good at all 3 regional offices at talking to you first, going to the hearing with you remotely, and arguing on your behalf. They're the voice for you. Next slide. In summary, hopefully within the last 30 to 40 minutes, you got a very basic understanding of what benefits are, how we assist you, and what you can do to help your claim. Let me add one more thing. If you are in financial hardship, if you're over 85, or if you have a veteran over 85, there is a way to attempt to expedite your claim with a letter to the VA, and they can put a flash on your claims file to push it. If you are in Washington, D.C., the same thing goes there. And I highly encourage you to talk to your CVSOs to get those letters out. And CalVet is really good at working with us and submitting those letters on your behalf at the regional office level. Because a lot of veterans will sit there and they have family members that need the help really bad, and they don't know what to do, and they're saying, why is this claim sitting here for a year? And my mom or dad is 80 or 90 years old, and they need aid and attendance. So keep that in mind. So with that, we'll answer questions at the end.
Thank you so much, George, for all that great information. So at this time, we are going to move into our virtual Q&A. But before we kind of get into that, I just wanted to also provide you guys with everyone's contact information here. In addition to that, you should receive a survey here shortly. So if we do value your feedback with any information that was received here. If there's anything that you'd like to see or could improve on, let us know so that we could send that up to our leadership and we can see what we can do from there. Kirk, at this time, I don't know if you want to hop on and kind of go through those questions there.
Yeah, Ashley, thank you. We have a lot of questions. First, I want to thank everybody for their questions, and I also want to address, due to time constraints, if you do have to log off, we understand. And please, I posted in the chat the website for where we're going to have the recording at on our website. It may take a couple days for it to be uploaded there, so please be patient. But once we have the recording approved from our communications department, we will be posting it there for you to access at a later date. And also, if we do not get a chance to answer your question due to time constraints, please take the contact information that is posted on this slide right now and direct your questions, if we do not get to your answer or your question, to the person, and we will definitely respond back to you with your information that you requested. So if we do not answer, I want to apologize wholeheartedly if we don't, due to time constraints solely. So with that being said, let's go forward with the questions. Most of these are going to be directed towards George, but there's a lot of general questions that were asked. The first one from Dwight: I applied for benefits, provided my medical information, and I was denied without having a C&P exam. VA noted I did not have enough information, and he says, I thought that's what the C&P exam was for. Thank you.
So Dwight, generally, if the VA looks in your file and warrants that the claim has no merit, the VA does not have to give you a C&P exam. So keep in mind that if you revisit that with a supplemental claim with new and relevant evidence, and it's very important to get with somebody to look at the rating decision. If you look at your decision, it's going to tell you in that decision favorable. It's right below where they deny you at. But if you look at favorable findings, it'll say you have been diagnosed with a disability, and you're like, okay, so I've been diagnosed with a disability, so now I need to get relevant evidence to prompt them to give me a comp and pen exam. So when the VA looks at your charts, they can look at the relevant evidence in your service treatment records to determine if your injury is chronic or acute. Chronic meaning ongoing, acute where the corpsman or doc gave you Motrin and you went away. And in my experience, and something that happened to me is I had a chronic back pain and they said it was an acute problem. I had it for 12 years and I took a lot of Motrin. So finally I went and got a lay statement from my spouse, a letter from my Kaiser doctor, and that prompted them to give me an independent medical opinion based on my back injury. And sad to say, I almost broke my neck in Korea, but they said it was an acute problem. So I would highly encourage you to get some lay statements. Read the decision carefully, get it to a vet rep so you can formulate a good argument, open it up supplementary, and then they can prompt for a comp and pen. And the ultimate thing is say, you know what, my condition or disease is so complicated, I would like to request an independent medical opinion to determine the severity of it. And that's always a tool I use that gets the comp and pen prompted.
Thanks, George. Hopefully that answered their question. The second one is from Paul. I want to know why the VA has not added the new presumptive illnesses caused by Agent Orange.
We had training. I think you guys were there too. They just put it into, I think the Federal Registry approved it, and it's going to go back to 61, I believe. And it is in the works because we just got some information on it. I know they're moving the presumptive period back to 61, I believe, or 55. We can look at it, but they are adding the other issues. There was an odd one. It was Parkinson's symptoms. So that was one of the ones that they were looking at, and a couple of the other ones. But I know Jamie Cannon from West LA VARO was talking about it, and it is in the works. So they just have to keep an eye out in the Federal Registry, because once it's posted in the Federal Registry, then it's going to go into the new CFR. Does he have specifics he's looking for? Can you text him back?
It's for hypothyroidism. I'm not going to go through some of these people's personal medical stuff. If for personal reasons, I'm going to remove and eliminate some of their personal information, but I want to keep their questions as general as possible for that purpose.
They can link over. Yeah,
they can contact you directly if they need any more specific information on their related conditions.
Yeah, and so, Federal Registry listed, and if they go on the VA webpage, it's going to tell them what they added. And I see somebody popped up the bladder cancer, and then there's also the Parkinson's symptoms and some.
The next question would be from Elizabeth. Is there a statute of limitation on military-related injury? How would you apply for that injury?
So there's no time limit to file service connection, and I would highly encourage her to file.
Yes, thank you.
That also piggybacks off of I was in a top secret operation, and I'm not supposed to tell anybody I was there. Believe me, they probably been declassified.
Yes. That's no reason not to file. Is it true that your 30% VA compensation stops when you start getting military retirement pay?
Yes, because you're under 50%. So the ultimate goal is to raise you. And now this may relate to if the person is retired from the reserves, because I'm a reserve retiree, but I'm 100%. So I'm going to get both. So I would highly encourage that person to try and get that 30 increased to above 50, because if you don't and the VA doesn't catch it, 5 years down the road, you're going to get a very big overpayment.
Okay. And Roy asked pretty much the same question as the previous one about previous application that was denied an increase in benefits for his medical. And you gave him the information on how to reapply and get the information and more. So the next question is there a difference between a
Let me expand on those two real quick.
Yes.
Keep in mind, for those of you that received the denial, you have 1 year from the date of that letter to get to somebody to help you with it. If you let the year go by, you're going to lose any monetary benefit you may be entitled to unless you prove a mistake. So if you got the letter 9 months ago and you're sitting on it, you need to get into a vet rep or calvet or somebody to take care of that. Very important.
Okay. Next one from Dwight. Is there a difference between a CVSO and a VSO organization?
Your county veteran service officers are paid by the County of Los Angeles and are considered service organizations for the County of Los Angeles. Your veteran service organizations, such as the Disabled American Veterans, who I used to work for way back in the day, are nonprofit organizations who help veterans for free also.
Okay. Thank you, George. The DMV charge for honoring veterans license plates. Can the extra fee please be waived? I can address that one. I think I replied.
And the $5.
No, this is for the honoring veteran license plates. The veteran license plates program, the fees that you're charged for those veteran license plates, like Purple Heart recipient or Gold Star families or your unit logo, any of those, Pearl Harbor, those specific license plates, the fees that are subjected to those license plates go directly for veteran services. They provide that stipend for veteran services and programs, right? They don't go into the general fund. So yeah, they can be costly depending on the registration for those license plates. But I think for the fee waiver, you're specifying for the registration for that vehicle. You can be eligible based on your disability rating for your registration to be waived. The next question is assessing your disability rating at a 50% to a higher rating, is there a chance the VA will reduce my rating instead of increasing it if I file a new claim?
Good question. So remember, if you go for an increased evaluation and you have no medical evidence and you haven't been treated, and the good example I'll give you is like post-traumatic stress disorder. Oh, I should be 100%. I should be 100%, but they haven't been to the doc forever and a day. So they're going to set you up with that comp and pen for an increased evaluation. And what's to say that day you go in for your increase and the doctor's getting ready to go play golf somewhere, and he notes that you haven't been to any doctors and you have no issues, and he reduces you back down to the 30%. So they reduce you because the monetary rate is not protected unless you have it in excess of 20 years. The VA uses a rule of the disability in itself at 10 years is vested because it's a chronic problem, but veterans will always go and try to increase, and with no evidence to back it up. The VA by law will give you a comp and pen to make a determination on if you are more severe. And rarely, but it can happen to you if you happen to get a doctor that's just looking at it and saying, okay, I'm going to get the $400 for the psych exam. The veteran is better, propose reduction. But you can always appeal those. But just be careful when you go for these increases, if you have no continuity of evidence to back it up. And VA is going to go after your VA charts if you are being seen by your docs, and along with the comp and pen, and then they'll make the determination. But yes, he is correct. You do stand a chance of proposed reduction.
Okay, thank you. The next question from Manuel: is a CalVet home loan better than a VA home loan? Real quick, there are two different loans. The CalVet is a loan from the state of California. The VA is not necessarily a loan. It is a loan guarantee. So the VA loan you can use anywhere in the United States. CalVet loan, you have to be a resident of California. You can combine the two together. You can get a CalVet home loan through CalVet and use a VA-backed loan for a zero down. So I highly encourage you to contact the Home Loans Division. It's been posted in the chat several times, so contact Home Loans and they can give you all the details on that. Next question is...
let me piggyback off you. So for those of you that are interested in CalVet, I did the 3 worst things you could do in your lifetime. Change jobs, move, and buy a house, all within 1 month. From start to finish, my CalVet home loan processed in 21 days, and it was all done remotely. So the staff up in Sacramento are really good at doing it. And I moved to Lancaster in LA, and I didn't even get to see the house. So I just moved in, my wife picked it.
That's great. Next question, and we're running out of time here, so we want to get this wrapped up quickly here. It's already after 11. Is a burn pit part of the disability?
Yeah, if you're not on the burn pit registry, it's very important because they do have presumptives for conditions that are a result of burn pit. And if you have a lot of chronic respiratory issues, I know they are doing research as to some sets of cancers. And some of the Vietnam veterans and older veterans that were exposed are even looking into these things too. So it's very important if you believe you developed a process. I was in the Army, and you have to burn stuff, and you ingest feces and stuff like that, and bodies, and you're ingesting all that, and you can end up with a chronic problem. And there is a listing of burn pit registry things that they're looking into on the VA website. So it's very important. Hopefully you're on the registry. So just like the Vietnam veterans, it took an army of people to get those presumptives onto the VA presumptive list. Same thing for those of you that were in combat and were exposed to environmental hazards. So you need to get on the registry.
Okay, next question. Can you apply for compensation due to a 30% tinnitus to worse of hearing loss and other related symptoms that just came out?
So tinnitus will cap out at 10%. That's the highest it's ever going to be. If somebody's telling you to apply for an increase in tinnitus, you're going to be fighting that one for a long time. Your hearing loss can be increased if it's more severe. I do a hearing test twice a year because I start to lose speech. But keep in mind, some odd ones that come out of it is if you're looking at secondary anxiety or depression or something associated mentally with your ringing of the ears, because some veterans do get frustrated with the inability to hear or pronunciate, and the ringing is constant. So we have linked secondary depression and anxiety due to physical disability because of the tinnitus, and you can link those, but you have to talk to the doc to get the nexus of it. But tinnitus is capped out at 10, so I would not pursue increasing my tinnitus.
Okay. The next one, this one's related to Agent Orange. This person worked where they tested Agent Orange for 9 years. They didn't serve any in Vietnam, but how would they go about getting an examination since they were not actually in Vietnam?
So when you go to the VA, you look at the keyword exposure. So when you start talking to the technician, I would encourage them to get to the VA to ask them if they can get their protocol done, because they have a history of working with the chemicals. So pretty interesting. If you research the EPA, it shows installations that stored Agent Orange, and it shows probably where this individual worked out of the factories that probably produced it or packed it and sent it away over to Korea and Vietnam. So all he has to do is address the issue with his primary care doctor if he's using the VA and say, look, I believe I worked around Agent Orange, I processed it, I put it in containers, I was exposed to Agent Orange, I would like to have this exam done. And generally he probably won't go to the part where they say, where were you in Vietnam? But at least he'll get all the lab works done to determine if he has any of the cancers. And his primary care doctor, wherever he goes to, should be able to handle that.
Okay. Thank you, George. We have enough for about 5 more minutes. We got like maybe 5 more questions here briefly. I want to apologize if anybody else did not get their question answered. So let's see, the next question will be for what credentials will a trained VSO have so I know they are a real deal?
So California Department of Veterans Affairs on our side has us attend the California Veterans Service Representative Academy. So that allows us to get an Office General Counsel number, OGC number. And if Calvet pops the OGC site in on the chat, you can check on anybody who says they're accredited by the Department of Veterans Affairs. So Calvet supervises or assists county veteran service officers. We are accredited under California Department of Veterans Affairs. Now, some of your county veteran service officers are also hold, like myself, I'll hold a couple of other accreditations like Retired Enlisted Association and some other ones that I'm credentialed with because I have a national training, and the bulk of our CVSOs have National Association of County Veteran Service Officer training, which allows them to advocate on behalf of other organizations too, or check claims for you. So we will have an OGC number. If it's an agent and they're credentialed by the Department of Veterans Affairs, they will have an OGC number. And if it's an attorney working VA claims, the VA does not recognize attorneys who do not have an OGC number or are recognized agents. So I think I might put that in the chat, or they can send that out to you.
Okay,
so
that's
very. Check that site.
Okay. The next one, can you get a SMC without 100%?
Yes, you can get SMC for loss of use of creative organ. Most of us see with a veteran that's rated at 20% for diabetes type 2 and has erectile dysfunction, and women may have arousal dysfunction, and they'll give them SMC for loss of use of creative organ.
Okay. Next one, can you please explain what CRDP is?
CRDP, for those of you that are retirees, we termed it as concurrent receipt of military retirement pay and VA comp. And that comes from defense, finance, and accounting. So when you retire out of the armed forces, say if you're an E7, you're going to get, they tell you $2,900 a month, but you're only going to get $1,800 a month. So you'll receive that, and then you apply for your VA compensation. You get rated at 50% or higher, and then you'll receive your $2,000 a month from the VA non-taxable, and you get your military retirement pay, CRDP. CRSC is the non-taxable retirement pay that you get for diseases or injuries that the military determines as a result of combat or instrument of war or training exercises. And a lot of veterans leave the training exercise part out of the CRSC because they think it has to only deal with combat related injuries. But if you're an infantryman and never deployed and you broke your knee in a big major field training exercise, you can apply for the CRSC, which is the non-taxable military retirement.
Okay. Well, I know there's still a bunch of questions in the chat that we have not addressed, but we are on the end of our timeline. We're at 11:15. So I'm going to go ahead and sign this off, and please contact everybody. If you have your questions not answered, please contact Ashley or myself or Annette or George. Please take down this contact information, contact us directly, or you can contact Calvet at calvet.ca.gov or CalTAP at.
Yeah, tell them if they want to ask, just plug them in and I'll plug their questions tomorrow if they want to send me emails, or I can even, if they can't find their vet reps, I can even set them up with the vet rep to counsel them over here.
Yeah, we've put the contacting your CVSO location as well. If you don't live in LA County and you're looking for another county veteran office outside of county, you can find it by your zip code on our website or call the 1-800 vet serve phone number to find your county veteran office that you would like to deal with. If your county veterans office is not assisting you in the way that you feel you need service, you can go outside that county and you can look for service elsewhere if they're not replying to your contacts. So keep that in mind if you can go to another neighboring county as well. So with that being said, I want to thank you all for your service. Thank you for joining us today. I know that was a lot of information. I want to thank George and Annette for joining us and providing that information, and thank you all for your service. Please tune in. We will try and get this posted on our website as soon as we can. Once our communications department approves the recording and we get it uploaded onto our website, it will be available for you, as well as a PDF of the slides. Thank you much, and I will turn it over. Ashley, would you like to say anything before we sign off?
Thank you, Kirk. So just like Kirk said, we'll get that up and running here within the next 24 to 48 hours. I kind of just wanted to just give you guys a brief update. These are our upcoming webinars that we have for the month of April. So if there's any questions or information that you have in regards to any of these subjects, please feel free to look out for these on Eventbrite. And again, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. And this is our contact information again here. By simply either giving us a call, that 800 number, going to the website, or even sending us an email. You can, again, like us on social media as well, where all of our information as far as webinars are always posted at as well. But again, thank you for your service, for everything that you have done. I know this was quick and short, but again, contact George if you have any questions, or any of us as well. Have a good day, everybody.